Summer's officially here, and it is officially hot. I am enjoying every single minute of it. Working in the garden, taking the kayaks to the lake, taking trips to the beach, thoroughly enjoying the summer. But man, it is hot. It is really, really hot. We're going on almost 3 weeks here with no rain, which is unusual, and over 90-degree weather. I think today's high is somewhere around 96, 97. That's the way it's been for the last couple of weeks. I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying it. But the point to this ramble is nobody wants to turn the oven on when it's this hot. I know I don't. I don't want to turn the oven on, and I don't want to stand over a hot stove. I want to enjoy my summer and relax and chill in the evenings especially. So I'm going to share with you a few meals that don't require any cooking, a few raw vegan meals that are satisfying and delicious and not too heavy at the end of a hot day or for a lunch in the middle of a hot day. So what I'm starting with is a wrap. It's going to be a carrot veggie wrap that you can make a hand salad or wrap with hummus, anything like that. They're delicious and super easy to make in your dehydrator. I'm starting mine with some pulp from juice I made this morning. So you could grate all your vegetables on a grater or a food processor, but this is what I have left over from juicing this morning. I have some carrot pulp, some collard green pulp, and some celery pulp. So that's what's in there, and I'll be using some of that. And I also have about 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds, which I have soaked in a 1/4 cup of water, and that will be going in also. I have 2 tablespoons each of chia seed, flax seed, and psyllium husk. You could just use flax or just use chia. And the psyllium husk, I just like the texture that it gives the wrap. It's not 100% necessary. You can do without that too, and just use the ratio amount of chia or flax seed. And I also have 1 clove of garlic and about 1/4 of a yellow onion that I've chopped up. And I'm making mine in the blender, so you could also just do this whole entire thing in your Vitamix or a bigger blender or your food processor. Any of those will work. You're just looking to make kind of a thick batter for your wrap. For seasoning, I'm just using turmeric, salt, and black pepper. I'll have a lot of delicious veggies and sauce going in my wrap, so I don't need to put too much in it. Just keep it simple so it doesn't take forever and we can get it done and get on with the day. Also, I just want to mention what I have in the bowl here are just some chickpeas soaking. I've soaked them now not quite 24 hours, but after 24 hours, I'm going to rinse them. I've rinsed them a couple times already, but I'll rinse them and put them in a strainer bowl and cover them completely. And in a day or two, I'll have sprouts, which I can make a raw hummus with. No boiling required. Perfectly delicious. Okay, so we have that sitting to the side, and I'm going to just get started on making my veggie wrap. Now, I have a confession to make. I tried to make veggie wraps yesterday. I got too busy, over dehydrated them, so now I have some delicious veggie crackers, which I'll use for another recipe this week. I'm thinking about turning it into a Parmesan type topping for some raw noodles and pesto. I think that'll be really delicious. So all of my pulp just into here. I'll add my onions. I'm going in with about 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. And on most spice bottles, 1/2 teaspoon is about that much in the cap. I've measured it. So I hate getting a whole bunch of measuring spoons out. I'm just kind of lazy. I don't want to have to do all those dishes. My husband doesn't want to have to do all those dishes. So I usually end up eyeballing most everything. So about a half teaspoon each of salt and pepper. And I've probably said before, and other people will also tell you, when you use turmeric, use a little bit of black pepper. It helps with the absorption of it. It helps you get the good stuff. So I'm going in with my pumpkin seeds and all of the water. And I'm going to blend this up real quick, and we'll see what the thickness of it is. I think I'm going to need another 1/4 cup of water. So I did end up adding about another 1/4 cup of water to the blender to get this blend up really good. And I'll leave in the description box the ratios and measurements of everything that I use. But if you're using juice pulp, it's a little bit drier than grating up the fresh vegetables. So it may vary depending on how you decide to make it, with fresh vegetables grated up in the food processor or with juice pulp. And that will also depend on how much juice your juicer gets out of the pulp, because mine was pretty dry. So I'm just going into the bowl with this, and it already smells so yummy. It smells good. Okay, into the bowl with that. And if you're using like a Vitamix or your food processor, you could just mix it all together in there. But I find that sometimes with this much of a volume, it's a little bit too much for just the NutriBullet to do. So in with our psyllium husk, flax, and chia. And I'm not sure how much water I'll be adding, but just enough to get it to like a kind of a thick paste consistency, to where it will spread out but still hold together nice for you. And also another option, instead of using water, you could use a couple of nice fat juicy tomatoes or a juicy apple or orange for the liquid. You just want to make sure that the chia seeds and the flax seeds have enough moisture to, like, I don't want to say get gelatinous, you know. Doesn't sound too appetizing, but that's what you're looking for. You're looking for it to get a little bit jelly-like, so it will stick together and bind together. So I think all together I probably used about 3/4 of a cup of water. And I think we're at a good consistency now. And I'm just going to spread this out on my dehydrator trays. And I have a round dehydrator just lined with parchment paper. Now, if you have a square pan dehydrator, you probably have one of those silicone pads that you can spread this out into a square. Either will work, but I will say, if you're using a round dehydrator, make sure to cut your parchment paper or use a silicone pad that's just a little bit smaller than the tray, so that you have some airflow coming through there, because these round dehydrators don't have as much airflow coming through them as some of the newer square tray ones. Okay, let's get this spread out and into the dehydrator. Okay, so I have these nice and pretty evenly spread out to about 1/4 of an inch thick. You want to make sure that it goes all the way thick to the edge, and I find about 1/4 of an inch thick is like perfect, because if you do it too thin, it's going to dry out on the edges, and it's just kind of going to crumble apart on the edges when you're trying to wrap it. So these are going to go into the dehydrator. In my dehydrator, it'll probably take about 5 hours, which is perfect for dinner time. It's around 1 o'clock here right now. So by dinner time, these should be ready to go. And I have already chopped up all of my veggies. So after about 2.5 hours, I'll check on them and probably turn them over. Your dehydrator may vary, so just check on them and make sure that they're not drying out too much, so you don't end up with crackers.
Just giving these a quick flip at the halfway point. And I'm just crushing up my failed wraps here that turned into crackers. You know, life's not perfect, but you just gotta roll with it. This is going to make something delicious anyway. So I'll just crush them up, add some walnuts, some hemp seeds, and this will make a delicious topping for noodles and salads and wraps this week, even on top of hummus. And this will store in a jar for up to a week just on the shelf.
Okay, so it's been about 5 hours. It's a little bit after 6 o'clock now. It's time for dinner. So I'm ready to put this wrap together and eat because I am hungry. So let's put this baby together. I have all the things I prepped. I've got my cheese, all my chopped and sliced veggies. I have a little bit of greens. This is just some arugula and some red lettuce and a little bit of tomato that Tony saved me. Thank you, Tony. So I'm going to start by just, oh, and here's the wrap. Here's how it turned out. It's nice and flexible and rolly and soft, so it should work great. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but that's okay. I'm really hungry, so that's going to be good. So I'll just start with a little bit of my cheese sauce. Move this aside. Maybe you guys want to see that. Maybe. Okay, so get a little bit of that cheese sauce in there, and I want all of these slices of serrano pepper there. Put my tomato and my greens, and I'm just going to see just how full I can stuff this. So I'm going to squish it down really good. All right, a little bit of bell pepper, some sliced red onion. Oh, this is going to be good. A few zucchini slices, a few carrot slices, a few cucumber slices, and some red cabbage. Okay, let's see if we can roll this baby up. I think it's gonna work, y'all. Oh, yeah, look at that. That is a wrap right there. That looks really good. I'm just going to cut this in half so I can see all the beautiful colors and my beautiful food. And look at that. How good does that look? That looks so good. Mmm. That is fantastic. I hope you try this one. This is really good. Sorry, that was a huge bite. This is a really good one. I hope you try it. So I'm just going to go and enjoy this. And in a little bit, before I go to bed, I'm going to drain my chickpeas and let them get started, cover them up and let them get started sprouting. I can see a few of them already have little tiny tails. So that's a good sign. It's a beautiful day. Look at those Delilahs. Aren't they lovely? Let's pick some basil. One. Let's see. We need to get the ones that really need to be trimmed up here. This basil is getting out of control. It's a real monster, y'all. It's okay. I love, love, love basil. And I have it not just growing here in this pot, but all through the garden. The next recipe I want to share is this super, super yummy pesto over zucchini noodles. Now, I'm having it over zucchini noodles. You can have it over any kind of pasta, or even kelp noodles if you want to keep it raw. It's also very delicious over roasted potatoes or over a sprouted grain bread, or just as a sauce in a wrap. Fantastic. So it's oil free, and instead of pine nuts, I'm using walnuts. Now, walnuts are fantastic for you, great for heart health. But what I want to say is you could use pine nuts. That would be fine too. They're just so expensive. Like, I feel like it should be a celebration or a special occasion to use pine nuts in your pesto, right? I don't know. Do you feel that way? That's the way I feel. So I love walnuts in a pesto. Turns out great every time. So this is what I have going into the pesto sauce is about a half a cup of walnuts. I'm going to use this small avocado, have a little bit of lime. I'll use probably about the juice of half of this. We'll see how juicy it is, about 2 tablespoons. You could also use lemon. I'm just a big fan of the flavor of lime. And I have 1 clove of garlic, and I have a bunch of fresh basil that I picked from the container out on the front porch. And I picked this basil yesterday, and we're going to use that too. So it's looking a little wilted, but I think it's okay. This is probably what it would look like if you got it from the grocery store. So I have about 2 cups of basil. And I'm just going in. There's not a lot of stem on it. I cut it short to the stem, so I'm not going to worry about trimming it off the stem or anything like that. So first I'm going to noodle up my zucchini and set it aside to get ready for our pesto. And I'm not even going to peel it. I'm just going to, it's washed, and I'm just going to noodle it right up. How fun is this? I love this thing. It makes me happy every time I use it. I really like it. So this is just a light meal for me. And this is going to make way more pesto than I'll need for just this small bowl of noodles. You could double the zucchini. You could also go in with some squash or sweet potato noodles with this, would also be delicious. Let me see, I think I have a bowl. I do have a bowl down here. Okay. So I'm just going to put my zucchini in my bowl and set it aside. Another reason I like this little small noodler is the center part is like a large noodle. You know, on those hand crank ones, I feel like the center part that it leaves is a little bit bigger, and it's just not as much fun. The noodles are what's fun. So I'm going to set that aside and get everything in the blender. And this comes together really quick. So I'll just go in. I've already put my clove of garlic in there. Let's go in with my half cup walnuts and all of my basil. And I'm just going to stuff it full. And you could do this in a bigger blender. If you have a Vitamix or a Blendtec. Not really necessary though. Any kind of blender or food processor will work to make this pesto. We got a pretty juicy little lime, so go in with a couple squeezes of him, and I will save the rest of him to make a little bit of a lime spritzer. That sounds delicious. Okay, chop up my avocado and pray to the avocado gods that we have a good one today. I have a spare over there, but it's from the exact same place, and who knows if it's going to be good or not. I did not do a good job that time. Or it's not right, which will be disappointing. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. So it's a pretty small avocado. Don't do that at home. Let me just see if I can squeeze him out. He might be. There we go. That works too. So yeah, I'll just squeeze him in there. Looks to be pretty good and ripe to me. So with the lime juice or lemon juice in here, the pesto will last in the fridge for a few days before it turns brown. Um, I usually use it like way faster than that, so I don't have to worry about that. But if it oxidizes a little bit because of the avocado, um, if that bothers you, just go in with a little bit more lemon or lime juice. Okay, I think I got about all of him that I can put in. Put that seed to the side, and I'm just going to put a little bit of salt in here. Salt is optional. It's pretty flavorful with the garlic in there. So if you're oil and salt free, you can totally omit it, and it won't be a problem. It will still be delicious. Okay, I had to find my blender top. Okay, so a little bit of salt. That's about half a teaspoon. And I have this that I made out of my crackers. I'm going to use as like a Parmesan topping. All right, I think we have it. I think we're good. Oh, yeah, it smells so good. I'm just going to put it in this little bowl that I had for my walnuts here. Let's see, scoop out some for my pasta and get that mixed around. But I really want to taste it. Let's check it out. Oh, yeah, it's really good. Good, good, good. Yeah, so pesto is so versatile. Like, if you've never tried it on roasted potatoes or avocado toast in the morning, it's just really good. All kinds of things you can do with pesto. It's great on really any vegetable. It's also great. I have some fresh green beans from the garden. It's also great on those, cooked or not cooked. Really good stuff. So it's really thick and creamy. If you wanted it to be like a looser sauce, see, it's pretty thick. If you wanted it to be a looser sauce, you could just add a little bit more citrus juice or some water. But this is perfect. This will coat all of our noodles and be a nice, thick, creamy, satisfying sauce. And you could add some other veggies to the top of this too. Some sun-dried tomatoes go really great with pesto. Um, in fact, I think I have some sun-dried tomatoes I might add to the top of this. But I'm going to give it a taste first on the noodles. I love, love, love my zucchini noodles. So fun. Look at that. So fun. Let's see if we can try to get a bite without a mess like that. Okay, there we go. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Good stuff. Good, good, good stuff. So I'm just going to top this with a little bit of my fake Parmesan here and some sun-dried tomatoes, and it will be perfect. So the next recipe I wanted to share is just a summer classic, a chickpea salad. I feel like everybody's had a version of this and it's always good. So I went back and forth whether I wanted to do the chickpea salad or a hummus plate, but ultimately I went with chickpea salad. But I do have enough sprouted chickpeas to do hummus also. which I'll probably do later. So to sprout your chickpeas, all you need to do is soak them overnight or about 24 hours. You want to make sure you rinse them at least every 8 hours, okay? And after you soak them, you just put them in a strainer inside a bowl, cover them with a towel, and rinse them every 4 to 6 hours. You could go as long as 8, but I recommend every 4 to 6 hours to give them a rinse. And after a few days, you will have your beautiful little chickpea sprouts. And they'll get a tail. They'll get a tail about an inch long or so, like that, and that's perfect. And they'll be nice and pliable and juicy. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend you rinse them every 4 to 6 hours so they stay nice and hydrated and plump and juicy. So that's what we're starting with, is our sprouted chickpeas. And also, if you've never sprouted chickpeas or had sprouted chickpeas, they taste nothing like a cooked chickpea. They taste like a green sprout, kind of like a cross between a sunflower seed sprout and maybe an alfalfa or broccoli sprout. That's what they taste like. They're very delicious. So it's worth a try. Give it a shot if you haven't. So what I have here is I have about a cup of chickpeas that I've blended up into like just a crumbly texture. I want a little bit of variance and texture in the salad. I don't want it to be all complete mush, and I don't want it to be all hard chickpeas. So I have that, and I have some chickpeas that I've just kind of lightly mashed until they're broken up like in half or quarter size. And after I mash these chickpeas with the masher, I like to just go through and remove some of the skins that will come off. That's optional. You don't have to do that step. It's a little bit time consuming. I find it kind of therapeutic actually to pick all the little skins out. You don't have to pick them all out, but for me it's just kind of a textural thing. I like to get rid of some of those. So, and like I said, that's optional. So we'll just add our crumbled chickpeas to our mashed chickpeas. Stir that around a little bit. And you could also just blitz these in the blender or the food processor. My food processor is still in storage. So one of these days I'll get it out of storage, but for now the blender and hand tools are working just fine. So those are nice and mixed up, and you can see the texture here is like a, crumbly in a few larger pieces. That's how I like to have that. So I'm just going to go in with about a teaspoon of salt. Now the chickpeas are just plain, no salt in the water or anything like that. So you want to add a little bit of salt in there. If you're salt free, that's optional, or you could go in with a little garlic powder or powdered celery or celery seed. Both of those have a slightly salty taste to them, or any salt substitute really. And I'm putting in a good amount of black pepper because I think summer salads like this, classic, like, you remember the tuna salad, the chicken salad, macaroni salad. I always love that with a lot of fresh cracked black pepper on top. So just mix that in just a little bit. I like a lot of black pepper. This looks really good. Okay, so my add-ins, I just kept really simple today. Simple and classic. I just have 1 stalk of celery, about a 1/4 cup of chopped red onion. You could also do a sweet yellow onion. And I have some chopped fermented pickles and a little bit of chopped parsley. Just all of that in there. Sorry, that scraping on the plate is probably really annoying, isn't it? Sorry about that. Okay, and in here I just have some vegan mayo and some mustard. Now, the mayo is a sunflower seed mayo, which is just a simple recipe of soaked sunflower seeds, raw apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of garlic. But the mustard I have in here is just an organic stone ground brown mustard. If you're keeping completely raw, you can just go with powdered mustard seed. Organic powdered mustard seed would be fine, or leave it out. It's optional. So about 2 tablespoons each of that, because you want this to be nice and creamy and satisfying too. So, because if our food doesn't taste good and it's not satisfying and rich, we're not going to want to eat it. So one of the things I've learned in my years of being vegan is you have to make it taste good. And you have to make it taste good to everybody. So, but, you know, make the recipes how you think you would like it. Adjust and add in. Great add-ins for this are a little bit of jalapeno or serrano pepper, some cilantro. You can add in fresh tomato and cucumber, a little bit of fresh zucchini. All of those things that are fresh in the summertime are great with this. All right, that's looking about perfect. And you can have this with some sprouted crackers or on a sprouted bread as a sandwich would also be delicious. I'm just filling up a couple of romaine lettuce leaves for a quick lunch for this. And this is going to be perfect. One more thing I wanted to say about the sprouted chickpeas is not only for hummus are they great, they make a great hummus, great raw hummus, but they're also great on top of your big rainbow salads or in a wrap. Anywhere that you would use a cooked chickpea, you can use these too. And if you are not keeping completely raw, these make a fantastic add-in to soups and curries. Really delicious. So I'm just going to fill up my lettuce cups here. Oh, that's looking so yummy. And I will give this a try. You could also sprinkle some seeds on top of it, like sunflower seeds or sesame seeds, or if you use nutritional yeast, you could put a little nutritional yeast on top of there. Mmm. The texture on this is so good. Even if you're not keeping completely raw, I highly recommend that you try this just for the textural difference and the different take on a chickpea. These are really good. So I'm going to go enjoy this meal. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me and watching the video, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. Bye.